My name is Mr. Pontsho Mantlhakga. I am the Managing Director and Global Speaker at Leadersphere Institute, and I am coming right up on the Online Prosperity Show. What you can expect is leadership at the highest level. Leadership is not about a skill or technique. It is about a spirit. It is about self-discovery. Tune in. Let's learn more about leadership and organizational culture.
Now, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, where we dive into transformative journeys that inspire and empower. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we're going to be exploring the essence of leadership and culture with a twist of humor and a lot of depth. Now, I'm going to welcome to the show Mr. Pontsho. Pontsho, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing mighty fine. I'm really excited about this conversation today. You know, the people wouldn't know, but we've tried so many times to make this happen. And finally, fingers crossed, this is actually gonna happen. And I'm glad that you have made the time for us to be, connected today. Now, for those that are watching right now, I want you to maybe imagine somebody who once navigated the corridors of government and corporate sectors and is now the one that's spearheading and leading a revolution in leadership and organizational culture. Now, our guest today, Mr. Pontsho Mantlhakga, the visionary behind Leadersphere Institute, is going to be joining us. So I tried first with your first name, but Mantlhakga, did I get that correct?
No, it's Mantlhakga.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, before I bend my tongue into a pretzel, let's just go with Pontsho. I think that's the best I could do on short notice. Now, you will understand that Pontsho's journey is just a testament to discovering one's purpose and also harnessing it to ignite change. Now, from being a journalist to now becoming a keynote speaker and also a communication specialist, he's on a mission to transform dynamic industry, just one leader at a time. So if you've ever felt the weight of maybe toxic culture or maybe questioned your own leadership path, I want you to stay tuned because this episode promises all the insights that you never thought you needed and also a roadmap to intentional living. Now, Pontsho, first of all, I'm already mincing my words. And then second, I'm already mincing your last name. So I might as well just take myself off the mic here before I keep digging into a hole for myself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, man. It's very dynamic. It's very diverse. Just so we have an understanding of who we're speaking to today.
All right. No, thank you so much for the invitation. So normally, when we grow up, we see people achieving great things. And we wonder, what's happening here? Is there a magic pill that people have to take? Why are they achieving stuff? Why am I not achieving anything? Is my life different? Is this life only chosen for the elite? You know, is there someone specific that this life belongs to? But as you grow, you start to realize, no, life is fair to all of us. God gave us gifts. Everybody is born with a gift. Now it's up to us to discover those gifts. You know, it's like a country or an area that has minerals, but they don't know it yet. And they keep saying, no, we don't have resources, we don't have minerals, up until one day someone decides, you know what, let me just dig in my background. Maybe at the back of my yard, there's something. And then after digging, as they dig, they discover that. In fact, for the past 10 years, I've been sitting on a diamond here. You know, there's a diamond mine in my backyard. So with me, my journey, I always knew that I was born to be different. How, I didn't know. But there's a voice that always said to me, you are special. as compared to my siblings, there were certain things that I was doing that they were not doing. My mindset was different. I explored, at some point I was a DJ. I went into acting. I nearly became a professional footballer just by being curious and understanding surely there has to be more to life than just being born. You know what I mean? Because according to science, between 200 to 500 million sperms are released to the egg during conception. And I won, man. I won the race. So me winning the race, it's not by fluke or a coincidence. There's a reason why I won. But growing up, our environment challenges us not to believe that we were born to be great. They always tell us, who the hell do you think you are, man? No one in this family has ever done it. How dare you dream? So as I was going through life, I realized that, what, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just dreaming, I'm getting ahead of myself. But to cut the long story short, it was 2021 in March, I remember, where I was interning. There were 2 posts that came out, and I applied for both posts because I qualified, internally. So you think, okay, since I'm internal, let me get the opportunity first, So while I go to those interviews, I perform very well. I remember, when you've done it, So I remember leaving the interview room thinking, out of 2 jobs, surely one of them should be mine. And guess what? I got 0, man. I got none of those posts. And what made matters worse is that it was 4 of us who went for those interviews, and you'd expect that number 1 and number 2 would be selected. You know what I mean? And guess what? I came number 2. But they took number 4 and number 1. Then I thought to myself, am I bewitched? Or why is it that everything I touch, something just goes wrong? And then I realized that in life, you ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, you ask yourself, when you touch everything and nothing goes according to your plan, that's called absolute abject poverty. That's the first question you ask yourself. When everything you touch, nothing goes right, we call it absolute abject poverty. And number 2, another question you ask yourself in life, number 2, when you have everything materialistic, but yet you're not fulfilled, you hate your life. So that one, we call it unfulfillment. So in my life, it was the first question to say, why is it that everything I touch, nothing goes right? Am I bewitched? That in Africa and everything. So everything is like, oh man, who's after me? Who's after my bag? And that was the day I said to myself, God, what's wrong? God, why am I born? Today I just want us to talk. Why am I born? Because I've been a DJ, I've been an actor, I tried everything just to find out why I'm born, even though I already knew why I was born, And then that's when God said, you were born to give people hope. You were born to inspire and empower individuals to evolve from followers into effectiveness. From that day on, man, I ran with my purpose statement. I ran. I started looking for mentors. I started, discovering how I was born to do that, because what people don't realize is that we've got a gift and we've got a purpose. So the purpose is your assignment. The gifts are the tools to do the assignment. So it's like an exam paper. An exam is an assignment, but the pen and paper that you use to write that exam are the tools. Those are your gifts if we were to take it into human perspective. So I knew from that day that, okay, so I was born to inspire and empower individuals to evolve from followers into effective leaders. But how? But how? So I found the purpose, the assignment. So now I have to find out the gifts, the tools to fulfill that. And then as I was introspecting, I realized that, no, man, every time people come to me, I give them a word of hope, I motivate them, I inspire them, and I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes that experience and those advices I don't even use. I'll be like, no, man, stay in that relationship, stay, work it through. But I'm thinking, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, man. That's too heartache there, man. I'm not doing that. But then I realized, so that has been a thread in my life, that I give people hope, I inspire them, I make them happy. They come back to me and say, your body, that worked. This didn't work, but that worked. Then that's when I realized, maybe my tools are speaking, the spoken word. And I never look back. I never look back.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into your world right there. And also, man, congratulations. So many people go from birth to death. I mean, they would have won that race that you won, but they go through the whole period without even discovering their purpose. And they just take whatever gifts that they had bestowed onto them to the graveyard. And hence they say the richest place in the world is the graveyard. But let's go back to, the thing that you actually mentioned, which basically is, as a kid around you, you could see things that other kids would not see, or do things, or aspire to want more, be more, and have more, as opposed to the other kids or your siblings that were around. Were there any sort of mentors, like you could maybe watch TV and say, I saw the Undertaker on wrestling, so I wanted to be a wrestler? Were there any mentors that you sort of put as a yardstick as to, I think this is what I want to be?
So funny thing is, I grew up going to church. My family, we are, my mom is a hardcore, staunch Christian, man. That women praise, and yeah, I remember praying for a wife like her, and then I got her. So, so every time I'm in church, and then the pastor will preach up front there, people are getting excited about the word. They're like, hallelujah. People were in the spirit, and people were excited about the word. I was looking at this man on the pulpit. I would just smile. And look at that man and be like, I want to do that. I want to be that man. I don't know whether that man had to study, had to go through pain, had to go through whatever that they had to go through. And that time, remember, I was in primary, between grade 1 and grade 7. So I don't remember which grade, but I remember vividly I was in primary. And I would get excited every time the man of God went on that pulpit. From the entourage being escorted, someone coming to take his Bible to put it on the podium. That process, and him speaking and people getting excited, I would get excited myself. I would feel a sense of peace looking at that man saying, I want to do what he's doing. When people are getting excited about the word, I was like, I want to do what he's doing.
Absolutely. You see, there's one
thing. I want to be the one on that stage, talking to you guys, getting you excited as much as it's getting you excited.
Not the one facing the audience, no.
Yeah, and now I'm living the dream now. Now I'm the one getting people excited. Absolutely. So another thing is we have to spend time with ourselves. I think people don't spend time with themselves. People can't even spend 5 minutes with themselves without getting bored, without looking for a distraction. Because by virtue of doing that, you start to have conversations with yourself. And then you start to realize what you're good at, what inspires you, what transforms you. Because in as much as there's a pro and a con to everything, one of my traits, I overthink. I'm an analyzer. I analyze. And that got me far, So even when we were playing football, grassroots level, I would sit on the bench before I come into the game and just look at the loopholes and be like, but number 10, this guy has a lot of space, man. No one is marking this guy, and I know his weakness. And then when I get into the pitch, I solve the weakness. Or I'll tell the coach, man, we need number 13 needs 2 more players around him. That man is causing us havoc. So I think what we need to do as people is we need to spend time with ourselves. We need to spend time with ourselves, and that on its own, you build a relationship with yourself.
Absolutely, because one of the times you did mention after that incident with the jobs and stuff like that, you sit down with yourself. It takes a redemptive amount of listening to be able to sift through what is negative, messages and what is, messages that are coming that are inspired. You would have maybe had to learn to distinguish those two voices, because it's not easy that somebody just sits and message comes in and you hear it and act upon it like you did. What you had already started working on yourself there. Could you maybe walk us through what you had been doing in order for you to have been receptive to that message?
And that's a very important take, because it might be the devil's voice, it might be God's voice, you know what I mean? So, but one thing I've realized, and one thing my mom always told me, the devil cannot give you peace. So if you're thinking about something for a very long time and it gives you peace, that's the Holy Spirit. And in the natural world, we call that intuition. We all have been saying, I felt it, man. That girl or that guy was bad for me. I could feel it from the get-go that, I shouldn't go into that relationship. And you call it a gut feeling. People call it, intuition. But basically, that's the Holy Spirit, without complicating everything. Remember, the Bible says he will be our help, our guide, and our teacher. So basically, that's the Holy Spirit. So if you are overthinking about something and it cannot leave you, for example, you're thinking about becoming a baker. Every time you're seated, man, you're thinking about baking. You're thinking about this franchise of great scones, and it cannot leave you. Maybe a month, a week, a year, a lifetime, but all you think about is baking. And and every time you think about it, you get excited about it. There's just this feeling, that dopamine rush that says, oh man, I can see myself, baking for people, making them good food, bringing joy and making sure that their families are served. That voice that cannot leave you. That's God talking to you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, maybe let's take a step back a little bit, just so that we can connect the part where, younger Pontsho now became the adult who was working in the journalism sort of, government sort of setups and things like that. Maybe if you can just highlight to us what a typical day would have looked like, even if it spans through a couple of years. That way we can then see if that thread of people really stood with you, because DJing is making people happy and you're elevating from one state to another state. Being a journalist, you're also engaging with people and things like that. So I'm also starting to picture people being the biggest theme around the work and the inspiration that you were receiving. And even football, that is a team sport. It's not a sport that you're playing by yourself. Okay. What were your days as a journalist comprising of?
Well, curiosity. When I woke up, I wanted to read. I wanted to find out what's going on around the world. And by doing that, I started to develop a mindset of curiosity. a mindset of wanting more. So my daily routine will just wake up, go to class, come back, be curious about how can I let people know certain things. Even now when I read a book or as I think, I'm like, people need to hear this. Surely people need to hear, I need to teach people this. And that has always been a thread in my life to say, every time I get new information, whether by observation or whether by reading or researching, I always said to myself, I can't keep this alone. People need to hear this. People need to read about this. So even as my journalism journey, every time I got a scoop, I always thought to me, according to me, this is the best story. People need to hear about this. Little did I know that this is going to be something that's going to take me far in life. So from journalism, DJing, every time I hear a new track unreleased, I'm the first one to come into this track. I said to myself, tonight I'm playing this track. This track needs to be heard. And funny thing is, when I do that, I feel happy. I just didn't know why at that time. I felt happy that I introduced things to people. I teach people. People will leave that place knowing that, man, DJ so-and-so played this hit. And we did not know about this hit. Took it to my speaking career. Reading, curiosity, research, journals. I'll read a line and then I'll say, you know what? Man, this is a game changer. People need to hear this line. And then I'll rephrase it in my own words and make sure that it sounds original, you know. So my daily routine in a nutshell is being curious, researching, reading, spending time with people, testing my material, you know. Even as a journalism student at that time, going into journalism after graduation, I'll just think to myself, gents, don't you think this and this and this and this would make sense? Imagine if money was just, you know, something that we can just get from the trees, and you know what I mean? At that time, we wanted money. Imagine you're broke, you're a young man, you're thinking, why couldn't we just get money from the trees? Let me research about, is it possible? Only to find out, no, it's not, because, you know, it's not nature. You know what I mean? But the curiosity of thinking about stuff along people, yeah, that helped. That was my daily routine. Just being curious, just researching, reading.
Absolutely. And obviously things like that, because now we're painting a picture of the kind of person that you are, because all this, you know, curiosity is what then led you to discover a lot of things, and also being curious about your own self, because you literally can't go discovering other things so you can share those things to others without also sharing yourself in the process. And I quite like that a lot. But I just wanted to maybe close down this chapter a little bit of the past bit here. What was the sort of reception that you got from the siblings, parents, people that were around you, especially when you were presenting such unique and out of the box sort of personalities, or, you know, instances where others are expected to just sing and praise in church, and yet you're looking at the guy delivering the sermon?
You spoke about something very important, the personality. You have to know what type of personality you have, number one. I always tell my wife, man, our personality wants us to be wealthy. The type of people we are, like we pay for convenience, you know. So personality, my personality, I remember this at that time. This was a problem for me, but as I grew, I thought about it to say, I think now everything makes sense.
Right.
One of the things, I know for some people it might sound negative, but one of the things that I grew up with, or my personality, is I get bored easily. By getting bored easily, I mean, I don't love doing one thing the same way. I like a routine, which is very important. But within that routine, I need to find out new ways of doing it. So I remember I visited my mom's workplace. So she was taking me office to office, and I was still in high school at that time. So she took me to an area called assets and management. I don't know whether that's a unit within a department. So I saw those people sitting, just relaxing, and just in front of the monitor doing nothing. And I said to one of the guys, "What do you do on a daily basis?" No, man, this is my work. I just wait for assets, and then there's a code, that they barcode rather, yes, that they have to fit in with the department's name, and then logbook so that they can have a record of what's there, what's new, what's old, and what's left. I remember leaving that place thinking, man, that work is boring. I'm like, wow, this can never be me. This is boring.
Right.
This is absolutely boring, because how do you improve doing that work? That was for my personality, asking myself to say, Pontsho, if you had to work in that unit now, how would you improve your day? How would you improve your work? Every day, how would you improve? So personality is very important. And my sister, hence I'm coming to a point where I said it made sense now, but now I'm grown. Even the dating scene, when the relationship became mundane, man, I left.
Wow.
I left, and my sister would say, "Where is so and so?" I'm like, she's gone. Like, what? She's gone. You guys have been together for a couple of months leading to a year. I'm like, nah, that's really so. But the issue was not the other person. It was my personality to say I did not know how to manage that relationship. I got with my personality of getting bored easily. So, but now with my wife, man, this is pure bliss, because I now learned how to make it interesting. So we'd go to new places, we'd do things different, and be like, no, baby, we've been going to this mall for the past 3 days. No. Let's look for another mall. There must be some mall somewhere that we don't know. And that creates excitement. Let's travel. Let's do this. Let's give each other space. And, it has been working wonders. So your personality will determine where you go in life and how you manage your own life. Hence, when I started, I said you mentioned something very important there in personality, to say my personality demands me to have or do work that I can improve on. Even in government, I left because this thing of clocking in Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, clock in and clock out, writing a media statement, coming up with communication strategies. And in that space, you're confined to people with a culture of saying, no, this is how we've always done it. They can't let you improve. Then I said to myself, nah, that's not me. So hence I enjoyed DJing, because new music, new people. I enjoyed journalism because you travel, you go to a different place, you write a story. So personality, that's what I can say to people. Know what type of personality you are, and then that will channel you to your purpose, because there's a reason why God did everything He did it.
You know what I like about that, because now you've really put together all these concepts, which now usher you into the position of why are you the person in the pulpit, in the front, giving the sermon, the lecture, or whatever it is, because you've mastered yourself, you've understood what it is that you bring to the table, and now you're just showcasing to others how they too can be, do, and have a happier existence. Now, how does this all tie and shape your current approach to leadership and communication?
That's very important as well. So what it does is I had to learn that leadership is me first. You know, there's this notion of saying people want to lead people without leading themselves. And that's a problem because leadership is not about leading people. In as much as it's about leading people, like teams or group, but leadership, it's about self-discovery. Leadership is about who you are. I always say this when I speak. Organizations, governments, institutions, they spend billions and billions and billions on leadership seminars, courses, conferences, you name them. And yet, people are still followers. People don't know how to lead. Because leadership is not a skill, it's not a technique, it's something you're born with. And all of us, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, I don't care if this statement sounds controversial. Everybody is born a leader. Everyone trapped in every human being on this planet is a leader. Being a leader does not mean you have to lead multitudes. I mean, Jesus Christ had a group of 12. 12 people to change the world. You don't need a lot of people, 12. And then he led multitudes. Why? Because he discovered himself. And I always hear people talk about not everything can be about you. But if we study Jesus, man, that guy was about himself. I am the way. I am. I am. So you have to know who you are. Leadership is self-discovery. Leadership is self-discovery. And when you discover yourself, and then you start manifesting, you start influencing. That is why Leadersphere Institute was born. Leadersphere Institute, my organization, was born because I realized that people have the leadership spirit. Everybody was born a leader, but only a few would die followers. Or many, in fact, would die followers. Only a few would discover that. Because just because you have something does not mean you might as well fulfill it. It's up to you. God gave you a gift. It's up to you to fulfill it. So Leadersphere Institute was born out of realizing that as much as everybody is born to be a leader, we all have the leadership spirit, but we don't have the spirit of leadership.
I like that.
The spirit of leadership, in one sentence or in one word, is this. People have leadership posts, titles, you name them, but they don't have the spirit of leadership. And the spirit of leadership manifests leadership excellence. I remember I was at a conference when was it? The 25th of May. There was a conference that I was speaking at called Fourth Digital Transformation in Mining. Yes, Fourth Digital Transformation in Mining Conference 2025, hosted by the Southern African Institute of Mining and Metallurgy. So when I started, I said, leadership is neutral. The word leadership is a neutral word. The room was quiet. We make it good or bad. Leadership is neutral. We make it good or bad. Money is neutral. We make it good or bad. So when someone says, I am a leader. I am leading a group of people. Now I start asking questions. What type of a leader are you? And where are you leading those people? Just because you're a leader, you can be leading them into a ditch. You can be leading them into wrong things. You can be leading them into depression. You can be leading your team into depression. You could be leading your team into a ditch. Or you could be leading them into a paradise. You could be leading them into doing excellent things. So we need to understand that leadership is a neutral word. And then we dissect it. Even your money. Put your $10 on your desk now and travel the world. You'll find it there when you come back. You don't leave your desk. That's how neutral it is. That's how neutral it is.
I like that. And thank you so much for elaborating that, because it's like water. You know, water is also neutral. You know, you don't have enough, you get dehydrated. You have a lot of it, you get drowned. And it just depends on how you see it and how it actually works and how much of it is there, etc., etc. So you elaborated on leadership sphere and, you know, the new program and the things that you're working on. Could you just maybe open us up to what leadership sphere is and what people can expect in that sphere?
All right, no, Leadersphere Institute is a premier consulting company that deals with transformational leadership and organizational culture. The reason why I named it Leadersphere Institute, the vision I have is to have a leadership school where businesses, organizations, individuals can come and learn about excellent leadership. Hence, I said people talk about leadership as a skill, as a technique, and that's not it. Because if that was the case, these seminars, these conferences that we attend, all of them, if not most of them, if not all rather, that I've attended, they talk about leadership being a skill. You've got to learn how to be a leader. Leadership is a technique. Do this, and then you become a leader. And then for me, I saw a gap and said, you know what? No, man, I've read books on leadership and I've read the Bible, I've read this. Leadership is not a skill. You are born a leader. But it's up to you to discover yourself and then you manifest your leadership prowess. Leadersphere Institute aims to educate people about purpose, about culture. Before a culture of an organization, you as an individual, you have to have your own culture. What is your culture as an individual? What is your mindset? So my organization is here to ensure that leadership and culture are excellent. And I am here with my organization to move people from information to transformation. In the next couple of years, I will start hosting events. But for now, I am dealing with in-house organizations. I'm speaking at conferences. I'm a consultant, I'm an executive coach. I am living according to my purpose of inspiring and empowering individuals to evolve from followers into excellent and effective leaders. In a nutshell, I was born to transform followers into leaders. That's it.
Right. So now, for people that are listening or watching to this right now, where can they go onto the internet so that they can maybe learn a little bit more about the Leadership Sphere Institute?
No, my website is www.leadersphereinstitute.com. On LinkedIn, I am Pontsho Mantlhakga. And then my organization on LinkedIn is Leadersphere Institute. On Instagram, I am the Speaking Maestro. And then Leadersphere Institute on Instagram, Leadersphere Institute on YouTube.
Absolutely. Now, when we were starting, you introduced us to Pontsho, who was brought into an interview and took second position, of which you could have been next in line to the second job, but then that was taken away from you. Now, knowing what you know now, are you still holding on to the fact that I should have been the person that was chosen, or are you now starting to see that that actually happened for you? Because had you crossed and did that, this might not be happening.
Absolutely. I am glad it happened. On hindsight, I'm happy. On hindsight, I'm thinking, wow, that was great. Hence, you have to have what I call the discernment spirit, the Kairos moment. You've got to know when it's your time to excel. You've got to stop holding on to things and grudges, and which is human. You know, we are hurt, and you're thinking, no, man, had that went out, had that been this way, had that gone this way, I would have been far, I would have been there, I would have been somewhere across the world. But as the Bible says, man, everything works together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I think we like leaving that part out. We always say all things work together for good, and then we end there. But we forget to say those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So all of us, this is my plea. This is what makes me angry. And by the way, whatever that makes you angry, that's what you are born to do. It makes me angry when I hear people talk about themselves as not worthy, not being able to lead, their mindset, the mind. You have to conquer here, man. I know people talk about the mind, but that's true. You have to conquer the mind, guys. That is why even when you die, the brain is the last thing to die. That's how important your mind is. You have to conquer the mind. You have to. I am glad I conquered the mind and went to God and asked, you know what, I can do this alone. You are the manufacturer. You made me. You know I am born. Please tell me. I can take Mercedes-Benz to Ford and say, what's wrong with this car? They'll tell me you're mad. We don't know this car. And all of us are made by God. So God is our manufacturer. He's the one who will tell you why you're born and why this is happening. So I'm glad that moment took place.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to bring us back to that younger Pontsho who was looking at the priest while he was celebrating, and you were looking at yourself and saying, I'm going to be that guy. Do you think you achieved that?
I've stepped into the mark.
All right.
I've stepped into the mark. I think I would say I've achieved that when I'm recalled by God to say, you know what, I've done it. Absolutely. But for now, I am on that journey. I'm speaking to the masses. I am doing whatever that man was doing on that pulpit. It might not be biblical and scriptural, but I am having my own ministry as Leadersphere Institute, speaking to organizations, individuals, advising CEOs. Who'd have thought, they're human as well. I never thought I would advise a CEO, but I realized, but this man, This man is just the same as me.
Yeah.
He just happened to get an opportunity. You know what I mean? So we're the same. And believe you me, most of them know nothing. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just figuring it out. You know, yeah. So you get when you're in those spaces, you get to realize that this is not scary. This is not scary. These people are experiencing the same problems that we do.
Absolutely. And so many people just fear from afar and never really step into it or do anything. But you've gone on. I think I was looking somewhere, you became semi-finalist in the Speaker Factor competition. Now you've got all this influence and obviously the confidence, the credibility that comes along with the message that you're putting out there. Now, Pontsho, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience and everything that you've put together are just a gift for those that have an opportunity to spend time or to even learn from you. I mean, from the person that you came from to the person you're becoming, I just can't wait to see what's next.
No, thank you so much. It's a journey from here on. The journey ends when we are recalled. So for now, we are still pursuing the journey. Let us change lives. Let us change lives. And I want to end this way. Always interrogate why you were born at a time you were born at. Ask yourself, why weren't you born 70 years ago? Why weren't you born in 1910? Why weren't you born in 1977? Why? Because there's a problem that God wants you to solve for your generation. You are born at a time you are born at for a reason. The world needs you, we need you. Don't die with your gifts. Don't die with your purpose unfulfilled. Don't be a thief, man. Don't be a thief. Don't rob us. Don't rob us of your existence for this generation.
Absolutely. You know, I was just thinking to myself, you remember when we were growing up and the older generation was saying, I used to walk 10 kilometers to the village and I used to do this and, you know, everything just seemed hard. And I'm just thinking to myself, nah, I think that's the reason why I was born this time around. I would have been very lazy to do.
Your case, you know what I mean? There's a reason why you're born now because you couldn't handle that, you know?
Look at these hands, man. Do you think I could go hunting with his hands? But I can't thank you enough, you know, for sharing that little bit of information there. And for those that are listening right now, if you've ever maybe felt the strain of either misaligned leadership or a stifling organizational culture, I think this episode is your beacon. I'd encourage you to share this with the leaders in your organization or somebody who's in a leadership position that is close to you, because I think Pontsho's insights really offer a pathway into not just about survival, but to actually thrive in our own professional journey. And also, so that we can just start a conversation in the bottom there, what one leadership challenge are you currently facing? Let's write that in the comments below so that maybe Pontsho can actually help you figure it out. As he said, it's not a skill, but it is an actual spirit. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, where we explore ideas that actually help you do and have a happier existence. And I want you to remember something. Transformation begins with a single step. Let this episode be that step for you. Bye for now.